Fading jeans is an art form, and brands like Full Count with their Dartford wash have it down to a T. These are a meticulously hand-faded pair of jeans, and we want to see if we can do the same at home.
So we've gathered a bunch of things from around the house, and we've got these test strips here that we've gone through, and we have done different abrasions and washes to try and lift the indigo.
So we want to kind of mimic the natural fading of a pair of jeans. So we want the fading on the knees, the whiskering around the crotch, the honeycombing around the back of the knee. We've gathered quite a variety of interesting items.
Yeah, things you might not think of, and then things that you'll definitely have heard of before, people using.
First things first, test strips.
I'm feeling very ill today. I've got the flu. So I'm going to stay in my presenting chair. All my work is going to be, this is my lab. I'm going to get the first two set up now because I can, because they're easy. Apparently, because it's slightly acidic, lemon juice is very, very good at breaking down the bond between the indigo and the cotton. So I'm quite interested. I have no idea if this is going to work, but if it does, it should provide quite a natural kind of all over wash kind of fade.
While I was doing that, Ellie got to work.
So we're going to put this in the oven. We looked up the burning point, which is about 205 degrees, but we don't know when the indigo will start to break down. We're thinking it will be around then. So we're just going to pop it in and do our other experiments and then come back, like normal cooking.
The beetroot, I don't know if I want the beetroot or just the juice. Got a little bit of beetroot. Oh shit. I probably should have prepared with like a sieve or something. Can you eat beetroot? I've never eaten a beetroot from a jar like this. Oh, okay, well, that's dyed my fingers, so I have a feeling it's going to dye the denim as well. I'm going to grab the kettle, I'm going to put some hot water in, and I'm going to sort of boil the coffee. I don't know if that'll do anything, but hopefully the heat will make it kind of bond better. We'll see.
What are you doing, Dana?
Enemy team.
We're filming, actually?
See you later, Team Abrasion.
So we took the test strip and we added some salt and rubbed that into the fabric. We wanted to see what effect this would give to it and how it might look. We originally were just going to do this because we thought it was funny, but it's actually working. So as I put my test strip in the oven, Finn was preparing his dyes.
At this point, I was pretty confident that the beetroot juice would work the best.
Right, first three of the experiments, we're going to do lemon juice first. I'm not sure how effective the lemon juice is actually going to be. Coffee, that's not been stirred very well. But beetroot, bit of a left field choice, but if we're doing stupid stuff to jeans, might as well push the boat all the way out.
Next, Ellie got to work with the sandpaper.
This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just gonna and hope that it just takes the colour off. It seems to be tearing the cotton, and there's like fluff flying everywhere. Gosh, that's just from like 2 minutes. So as a collective, we have been sandpapering this for about 20 minutes now. This is as good as it's going to get, I think. It has done a lot, so if this is the effect that you want, go ahead. I think if we end up using this, we're going to use a finer grit of sandpaper for sure, but because it does do something. After each abrasion, we took each test strip to have its own little bath to mimic what we would be doing with the real pair of jeans. Meanwhile, Finn is preparing his bleach bath.
Right, so we filled the sink up with hot water. I'm going to put a little bit of bleach in, sort of cut it, maybe a third of bleach. And then we're just going to let this sit for maybe an hour, see what happens. I've kind of intentionally chosen 4 washes that hopefully will get some kind of weird and different results. So with any luck, this will be the kind of the extreme bleach fade, because it's bleach.
This was going to take a while, so I needed to find something else to do while I waited.
Checking back on these after about half an hour, the beetroot has definitely worked. All of that white and light blue is now a very horrible purple. It's worked, but I don't think it's nice. So that's interesting. Coffee sort of looks like it's been dropped in mud. Also not sure if it's in a nice way And with either of them, I'm not sure if they're going to retain that colour once we wash them. The lemon is doing absolutely nothing.
Right, so now we're going to do the cheese grater. Few concerns, actually main concern is that I'm going to cut myself. So I'm going to try and be really careful. Instantly feels awful. Ugh. It's like a really cringe, isn't it? Okay, that one feels nicer. If we're going on how it feels, this feels better. So this was that spikier bit, and then that is this, which is definitely good. I'm gonna try. Is there a point trying that? Oh, actually, this is also quite good. I really like the cheese grater because there's different like methods. So that's working really well. Done it really nice actually, and that's that one. Then Finn checked on the bleach.
So these have been sitting in bleach for about an hour and 20 now. We've got the light wash one, we've got the one wash one that hasn't been pre-faded. That doesn't look like it's changed much. The light wash one though does have a bit of colour to it, or less colour to it. So we'll clear that off. Wash my hands. I should be doing this with gloves really, but I'm ill prepared.
Finn didn't seem too concerned about hand protection here. We would recommend, if you were to do this, maybe wear some gloves so you don't burn your hands with the bleach.
So obviously the closest things we sort of have to this that haven't been dyed by us in a bathroom are some of the Oni stuff. The Oni has like the rust dye, the kind of the red and green cast, and you can really tell the underlayer of the fabric and how it will fade based on the Salvage line in particular. So it's interesting to see that even with our own sort of like experiments, you do get that real colour on the Salvage line. That's how you can tell.
Okay, so we're back. We've done the abrasions and the washes. I obviously did the abrasions. So the oven was the least successful. A little bit came off with the salt, which I think if we really wanted to like go for it, it would work better. And I think the oven also wasn't hot enough because we obviously didn't want to set it on fire. Next was the sandpaper. We found with this one that the grit we used was way too high because as you can see here, it started actually sort of shredding up the denim a lot more. So we have thought about using a lower grade sandpaper for the real ones, just so we have a bit more control and it will still lift some of it up. But our favourite was actually the cheese grater because we had a lot of control over each bit and all the different sides. You could do loads of different things, so that was quite fun.
And then for the washes, we had some varied results. Most of them kind of just apply a little bit of extra texture to the jean. The lemon juice did absolutely nothing, so that is written off immediately. The beetroot, it's almost like someone's coloured it in with a purple highlighter, which, as unique as that looks, I'm not sure we want that on a full pair of jeans.
80s acid wash.
The two that did work well were the bleach and the coffee. The bleach did really well, obviously, at lightening up that indigo. So I think if we're going to try and fast track our way to a faded pair of jeans, the bleach is going to come in really handy. Maybe spraying it concentrated around the knees to have more of a natural look to the fade. And then the coffee has given it a kind of a muddy, earthy like undertone, which I think is really nice for simulating that kind of lived-in, worked-in fade. So the jeans we are going to apply the full fade to are these Oni 200s. These are probably the most classic jean in Oni's collection. They're known for usually quite experimental, unique fabrics, but we've decided if we're going to do this to a jean, we should do it to kind of the standard classic jean. Do you know what I think we should do? First things first, to kind of make sure everything's in the right spot.
Yeah.
I should wear them and we should grate and sand my knees.
I'm worried if we do that I'm gonna cut through to your skin.
I've had worse. Ta-da!
Nice.
They're all right.
They're nice.
Yeah. Let's get grating.
I'm scared of hurting you.
Just grate away.
During this moment in my life, I was worried about cutting Finn's legs, so I was being quite careful. If you've seen any of the clips of the people in the factories doing this with the sandpaper, they're actually quite aggressive because they're not worrying about hurting anyone. So maybe them being on Finn wasn't the best idea in that way. We didn't actually have a lot of control over what we were doing. However, him wearing the jeans was a big pro because we could see where natural distress marks would lay.
So I have a feeling whiskering is going to be the hardest to get, sort of in the danger zone. But this is such a weird thing to be doing. It is working. It is working.
We don't want to do it too much just yet anyway, do we? If we want to...
Yeah, we just want to kind of set
future.
in a fade. So
We just want to give them an initial go.
So obviously when you wear a pair of jeans uncuffed, you get roping around the hem of the jeans. This is just where all of that extra fabric or all of that edge fabric on the jean is being abrased by your shoe, your foot, the ground. So that is going to be a really important thing to do to make this look authentic, to make this look realistic.
So next we're going to do some honeycombing, which is the fading on the back of the knees.
So I'm just trying to get the creases baked in to the back of the knees, which is involving quite a hefty squat.
Getting a workout as well.
I don't know, quite.
This is when the sandpaper became most useful because we could fold it and we had a lot of control over what we were doing with the honeycombing. So we've just done a light abrasion here because obviously we actually do want to, in the future, maybe wear them a bit more naturally as well. So it's almost like when you get your hair cut and you take too much off. It's better to do a little now and maybe go back in rather than do too much because obviously we can't fix it. So we want to get any of like these little creases here because as you're sat and seeing them there.
It's done it quite well, and I think it does add a little bit more.
Yeah, we've ended up using the sandpaper quite a lot as well because we've got one with a finer grit. As long as we don't go too crazy, it does just lift the indigo realistically as it would if you were wearing them all the time.
Cheese grater as well, kind of. It was good for overall like blanket fades.
Yeah.
Whereas getting these like little finer details.
It did have a slightly different effect to the cheese grater, didn't it?
Yeah,
we were able to do just a lighter general wear.
So something else we thought we'd do is pop a pot of Vaseline in one of the pockets and do an outline fade, because obviously when you're wearing jeans and you've got a phone, you've got a wallet, Vaseline, anything in your pockets, that will fade over time. So we've kind of already had a little bit of a test with it, and it does work. And hopefully it will kind of create that imprint that will look like we've kind of naturally just faded. So the coffee bath is sort of something we're going to do as a longevity kind of something to look for as they fade. I don't think the hue is going to show up much in the actual first wash. I think it's going to be something that bakes itself into the lighter parts of the jean, the pockets, the underneath here or the insides, and as that warp is revealed, as the whiter fabric is revealed, the coffee's going to come through with it, and it should give it a really nice kind of earthy, textured fade, which is something to look forward to as these jeans get more and more progression in the fade.
So we're going to run the bath hot, but not too hot, because obviously we want the coffee to take to the jeans, but we also don't want the jeans to shrink. So I've just poured the coffee in. I've gone for like a couple of goes, and then I'm just going to let it dilute a bit and then see if we need any more. I've put quite a bit in. Yeah. We can always add more if we want. I didn't want to do too much. Also, should I turn these like inside out, or what's the...
Because at least then we're going to see a...
We're going to be able to see better if it's taking. Some of the issues we had with the bath was actually keeping the jeans sunk. We used a couple of mugs to weigh it down. So we left the coffee to soak for a few hours. After we took them out, rinsed them, we found that most of the coffee had left the denim. Not very successful. It looked like when they were wet that it was working, so it was a bit of a trial and error for us. So overall, this was a good start. You can see that we've lifted a few layers of the indigo off. We've definitely got some of that whiskering there, some of that roping, and the honeycombing as well.
The Vaseline fade came out the strongest, but in retrospect, we probably should have been a little bit more gentle with it. If we've learned anything from our time with these jeans, it's that this process is incredibly intensive and time consuming.
So what's going on here? Why is it so difficult for us to get a really good fade? The experts that do this, that hand fade denim day in, day out, That is what they do. They are pros. If you watch any of the videos on it, it's incredible how easily they freehand. They begin much like we did with hand sanding, which is with a sandpaper or any sort of abrasive material, and they go across and they take the initial layer off, and then they will also go through and do some whiskering too. And they will hand do that. They'll put the jeans in like a mannequin leg situation so that they're completely flush, and then they literally go through and imagine where the creases will be. And then they do the pocket distressing and the roping across the hem of the jeans, and they do that with an abrasive drill, and they literally just like go through really quickly, and that makes those edges nice and raw like they have been worn in. And then what they do is they give it the first wash, which is called the pre-wash, and that lifts the initial coating of indigo off and gives a nice fresh start to the next process, which is typically stone washing. Pommel stones are used because they are light, abrasive, and they float in the water, so they do a nice gentle abrasion over all of the denim, again just to finely strip another layer to give it a really natural lift. And then they give it one more wash just to seal and take all the chemicals off of everything that they've done. What some places do is they use laser, which is obviously a modern approach. The con of that is that it's so precise, it doesn't look as natural. It almost looks like a printed effect. So it's not as great if you want a real authentic fade. And the best way you're gonna get that is probably by wearing them yourself. So if you've got the time and you can really commit to wearing in a pair of denim, it's a fun project for anyone who loves denim. It might be something to do and have your own pair that really feels organic to yourself. But if you don't have time, you know, buying a hand faded pair like the Dartfords, for example, is a great way to go. They're a lovely pair of denim. I think most people will agree. Okay, so that didn't go as well as we hoped that it would. It definitely gave us an appreciation of how difficult it is to get a good wash and a fade.
Yeah, I think it's Full Count certainly has it down to an art form.
Yeah.
I think I guess what we've learned is like you can't skip the process. The process of fading and actually wearing the jeans yourself and putting that work in. I think it's important, and that's how you get the results.
Yeah, and it's nice because then you've got your own unique pair of jeans.
Yeah, exactly. So I think those Onis, hopefully we'll see some more wear. We're gonna wear them properly, put some work in, and hopefully get them to a point where they are really, really nicely faded as naturally as possible, and keep them away from the household bleach and beetroot juice.
You never know.
Are you excited to that this is your new job?
Yeah. This is exactly how I pictured it.
Find the audition. Right, that's boring me, so have fun.
I think that's enough.